Hello and welcome to Peepanock Farm, and it's time to talk about something a little bit different today. You'll notice that I'm indoors, which isn't where we do the majority of our filming, but here we go. So this is Phoenix, my old buddy. He's 13 and a half years old. He was from the RSPCA Rescue Centre at Ratcliffe in Nottingham, and he's supposed to be a Collie Staffy cross, but we've never really been sure exactly what he is. We would say he probably got some Jack Russell in him from some of his antics and behaviours, and it doesn't really matter to us because he's our baby and he's been with us for all of this time anyway, so it just doesn't matter. But here he is having a snooze. He's just been yelling. He was just crying, whimpering a minute ago, and I panicked. I was in the kitchen and I ran in, but it just turned out that the sun was in his eyes. So it's really cold here today and really sunny, and so I just had to shut the curtains for him because he was moaning about that. Oh look, now he's been able to go back to Snoozy Land. It goes without saying that poor Phoenix didn't have the easiest of starts. He's just got to avoid the camera now. It's all got too much for him. By the time he was 6 months old, he's actually had 3 owners. So when we went to look at him, we were told that he was found as a stray on the streets, and he'd got a chip. So they scanned him and contacted the number on the chip, and they actually said, oh no, we only had him as a puppy. But he was too boisterous, so we gave him away to another family. And when they contacted the other family, they actually said something along the lines of a child had got an allergy and they just didn't want him back. So it was never really clear to the RSPCA how Phoenix came to find himself homeless and literally wandering the streets of Nottingham, which must have been incredibly traumatic for him. And as a young dog, he definitely had, and still has actually, quite severe anxiety. As he's gotten older, he has kind of mellowed, and some of his issues have got less, but he was, well, we used to say you'd barely see him for the first 2 years of his life because he just like spin round and round and round in circles, going crazy all of the time. So he's kind of like a cross between a Staffy and a Tasmanian devil or something, just like spinning round and round and round. But he has definitely calmed. I mean, some of it will have just been because he was a young dog. And I think people are always surprised to discover how much energy and how much occupation a young dog requires, particularly some breeds more than others. I will say when I got him, I'd had another dog from a pup and I'd already forgotten some of the things that can happen, and I left him on his own in the lounge for literally 2 minutes to put some washing out on the line, and I came back in and he chewed all of the buttons off the television remotes and shredded an entire box of tissues, and it just looked like it had snowed in the lounge. And I was like, how have you managed to do that in 2 minutes flat? That's amazing. But this is how Phoenix likes to spend most of his time these days. As I say, he's 13 and a half, so he's not a young dog, and he still likes to go out. And in the time that I've been doing jobs in the kitchen this morning, which was about an hour, he'd been in to ask me about 4 or 5 times whether we would be going out yet. And every time I go near a shoe or to the toilet, he thinks that we must be going out. So he goes to sit at the door and then looks all kind of sad and mournful when that's not happening. So he's still got a lot of big energy for his walks. It's just that he is a sofa surfer, really. So he likes to sleep either on the sofa or in one of his selection of beds around the house, and he usually carries one of his toys with him. So that's a Christmas robin that's been chewed really rather badly, but yeah, he likes to carry a toy with him because he barks a lot. He's a really barky dog, and over the years we've tried to teach him that if you put a toy in your mouth, it helps to sort of muffle the bark. So he usually carries a baby around with him, and I'm quite sure he has the intentions of using it to muffle his voice. So we like to have it that he feels comfortable and safe. So he's got a bed, in the kitchen. He's got a bed at the top of the stairs, which is between the bedrooms, so that he kind of feels like he's amongst the family when he's upstairs. He's got a bed under the stairs. There's kind of like a little recess under the stairs, and he really likes it there because it's kind of quite cozy no matter what time of year it is, and it's a bit private. He can kind of hide away there. It's a bit cavey, and he really likes that. And in my experience, dogs in general like to have that kind of a space. When he was a puppy or a young dog, he's probably not really a tiny puppy when we got him, but he used to spend quite a bit of time in his crate, and that was by his own choice. He just felt safe there, particularly if there were blankets over the top of it, so he'd kind of cuddle up in there and feel like he was protected from the world, if you like. But these days he's quite happy to be in the sofa in front of the fire. This is a really nice cozy space at this time of year, so this is where he spends most of his time, going all kind of smelly. So now he's got his coat on, he'll start being really silly and barking. Not actually been too barky this morning, have you, about going on your walk? It must be because I'm filming you, but he does know that when he gets a coat on, he's going on a walk. He's not really that furry, he's really short coated and he's older, so he does feel it. And I've found that this fleecy type coat is just the perfect thing for him. When he's had a more rigid style coat, he feels like he can't go to the toilet, so he won't go to the toilet, which isn't really conducive with going out for a walk. And the waterproof coats are nice if you're taking them out in extreme weather, but to be honest, at his age, if I open the door and it's peeing it down, he doesn't really want to go out. And this fleecy fabric's good because it moves with them, and they get lumps and bumps as they're a bit older, and the fleece goes around it. So I just think it's spot on, and of course it's super washable because it's going to get absolutely ditched. Off he goes. What a beautiful sight. Just going for a nice run. In a minute he'll wonder whether he needs to run back and have another treaty. He's just going off to have some smells, investigating. Come on then! Come on then! Here he comes back. As you can see, it's not as springy as he was, but he's still got some go in him, haven't you? Sit! Sit! Good boy. Phoenix is ideal really at his time of high. Hello again, buddy. Is to go out for between half an hour and an hour a day, depending on what the weather's doing and what else is going on. On days where it's really awful weather, he probably won't choose to go out at all. He used to come and sit on the yard with me and help me do yard jobs with the horses and the sheep, but as he's got older, he'd just rather sit on the sofa, which is fair enough. I don't blame him. But it is really important for his little limbs that he keeps moving. So, and it's important for me to get the exercise. I mean, there isn't a better way, I don't think, to enjoy the countryside than with your faithful friend out doing this, especially on a lovely cold morning like it is now in the bright sunshine. Who wouldn't want to do that? So unfortunately, Phoenix doesn't get on brilliantly with other dogs that much. So when we're out in public like this, which is where we are now, down at Creswell Crags, he has to stay on the lead just so that I can manage him a bit better. Tends to get picked on by other dogs, and he sometimes gets a bit bitey and a bit growly. Some of it's old age, he doesn't want to be bothered by the younger dogs, but some of it's just like how he's always been. But I'm just keeping him like this to keep him safe, and other people. Should make the point, it's not people that he has an issue with. He loves people, it's other doggies. Other people who would just be really happy to have a fuss off, and even some other people with dogs. It just depends on the other dog, the other people's management of their dog, and other factors. Don't really like Labradors, do you, for some reason? But he's fine here, just like this. I think it's really interesting when we look at the relationship that our dogs have with other dogs, because Phoenix lived with another dog for 10 years, so for the largest part of his life he lived with another dog. Now, she was inevitably the lead and made the decisions about things. She was 6 when he came, and he was only a baby, and she taught him everything that she knew. And I think he really enjoyed that because he knew exactly where he stood. I think he quite liked to have a boss of the situation. But in the time that she was alive, and actually since she's passed away, we have had other dogs come to stay with us while people have been on holiday or gone out for the day. And there's only been one dog that we've had any issue with at all, after probably like 7 or 8 other dogs who we didn't have any issues with. So he's always really barky and silly for the first day that they come and wants to chase them round and round and round. And then when he gets that out of his system, everything's fine, and we just sort of settle into a new routine, managing whatever eating and exercise each different dog needs, and it's perfectly fine. So I think it just goes to show that most of it is down to kind of like his insecurities and needing to kind of like find out where he is in relation to the other dog, and nothing serious. It's not kind of like based on a desire to fight with them. It's just he needs to find his place in what's now the new pack. Off he goes again. He's been off the lead for a little while. I can manage him away from other people and their dogs. We're going back towards home and he's perfectly happy. As you can probably see, he does move like an older dog. He's a bit rickety, particularly in his back legs that have sort of changed shape quite a lot recently, but he does do really well, and he definitely does still want to go out and enjoy the countryside, which, as I said before, is the best way for us to spend time together. He's just, the reason he keeps stopping now is he knows I've got treats in my pocket, so he's just completely after those and a bit blindsided by that and forgotten that we're indeed meant to be doing anything else. And he's just looking at me in a foolish way with these blinky, oh please give me another treaty, I really need one. Oh dear, Phoenix, what you like? And it does go without saying that for the first few years of his life, he really wasn't that easy to deal with. So he had kind of like a lot of his anxieties and settlings. And then when we got past all of the kind of barking, crazy, running around in circles, cheese stealing off worktops and other behaviours like that, I mean, like I say, he settled with the other dog perfectly fine. That wasn't a problem at all. But then as he kind of got into like his stride a bit, we had a whole period of his recall just being awful, and he'd run off several fields away on a walk. You'd still just be able to see him. He'd be like a dot, and you'd shout him and you'd see him turn around and look at you, and then he'd be like, I'm running off even further now, and off he'd go. So he spent a lot of time on more like a long line or on a lead, because we just couldn't trust him. We did do a lot of work with recalls and different noises. He seemed to respond better to a whistle than to my voice. I think probably in my tone I sounded annoyed with him, and that was making him feel fractious about coming back to me. But he wasn't really very treat orientated either, so I could always get the other dog back with something to snack on, but that didn't seem to be enough for him, nor did toys. I tried taking loads of toys on walks, and all that really involved was me like putting my back out for carrying loads of dog toys around with me. So yeah, you kind of like have different phases of a dog's life, and then when they're older like this, you've just got all of the amazing memories of all the lovely things that you've done together, and this kind of lovely old pudding of a dog that just really wants to stay on the sofa most of the time and then go out when it's nice like this and enjoy the outdoors together. But they've not got to the stage yet where they're giving you loads of heartache with multiple health issues that require loads of treatment and the inevitability of what's going to happen. So I kind of like these like twilight year with your dog, and I think it's why when you go to the vet's waiting room and the people are all there with their puppies with the shiny eyes, and they're like all proud of their pup, and they're just kind of like starting on something new, and they're all pleased with themselves. But then you look at the people sat with their older dogs and they've got a bit of a smug look because they're just comfortable with the relationship, like a nice pair of shoes that just is always comfortable when you put it on. You know, it just feels good, like a lovely warm glove. It's just something that you can get into together and nobody can take away from you. So yeah, I think there are a lot of benefits to having an older dog that you've had for a really long time, particularly if it's been a bit challenging along the way, and just enjoying what you've got now. So here's Phoenix now, back home, safe and sound, in front of the fire, cozying up. I'm just going to give him a Dentastick. There you go. Good boy. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about Phoenix, how he came to us and his life here, and seeing a little bit of him being out and about, enjoying things, having fun. If you could like this video, that'd be brilliant. And if you could subscribe to our channel, that'd be even more brilliant. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Take care. See you soon. Bye.